Yes, our dear students, I would like to welcome you to lesson 3. Remember, the topic is an amphibian, and we are trying to continue to look at the external characteristics of amphibians. And in this lesson, we are going to look at the skin. We shall also look at the limbs, the hind and the forelimbs, and then we shall proceed to identify the sex. How do you tell whether this frog is male or female? So welcome to the lesson. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel and watch videos concerning your subject. So you all know the skin, the part of the body called the skin. That's what we are going to look at. And I want to start with the attachment of the skin. How is the skin attached to the body of an amphibian? You can be told to describe the attachment of the skin to the body. So when you move around the skin using your forceps, trying to pull it or to detach it from the body, you will realize that the skin is firmly attached on some parts of the body and loosely attached on other parts of the body. So where it is firmly attached, areas like near the head or around the head region, it's firmly attached on the head, and then the throat area, and also on the legs, the skin is firmly attached. However, the rest of the body, the skin may be loosely attached. And the firm attachment is an adaptation for locomotion. And then we said it is loosely attached on the rest of the body with the fluid-filled spaces, especially on the trunk. And this loose attachment allows distension of the body wall and movement of the skin without rupture of internal organs. So you know when these amphibians hop or jump, usually there is a stretching of the body. So when the skin is loosely attached, that allows that kind of distension. Similarly, when they feed, their abdomen broadens, yes, or when the female reaches the reproductive season, the eggs develop and the abdomen is forced to expand. So all that is possible because of the loosely attached skin on most of the parts of the body. So that is the description of how the skin is attached on the body wall. So we want to look at some of the other adaptations of the skin to its function. How is the skin adapted to its function? So to begin with, the skin is tough and hard. So when you feel the skin, you try to pinch it, to pull it, to stretch it, you realize it is very tough and very hard. And that is to protect the delicate organs from injury and damage. Yes. And then the skin also has some poison glands. And these poison glands are more visible on the toad, on the skin of the toad. And that those poison glands that are found all over the body or more around the head region secrete a milky mucus that protects the animal from predators. So that milky mucus or that milky substances that is produced by those poison glands is poisonous and deters predators like snakes that usually attack them. But however, this one is majorly in toads. The skin is thin and moist to allow gaseous exchange when the animal is in water. So when the animal is in water, they can carry out what we call cutaneous gaseous exchange through the skin. Gases can be exchanged, to and from the water through the moist skin. The skin is warty and slimy to make it slippery to allow the animal to escape from predators. I don't know whether you have tried to catch the frog. In most cases, it can slip off your hand, and that is one of the ways in which they can defend or protect themselves from predators. So they have that slimy layer that has mucus. And then the skin can be colored. For the toads, usually it is a dull color, which is brown. And then for the frogs, they may have a greenish or characteristic yellowish color. Whichever color it is, it's used for camouflage, depending on the environment where an organism stays. So that is some of the information about the skin. You can also proceed to look at more about the skin and appreciate more. You can catch the organism and observe the skin, look through it and identify many things from the skin, comment about them, well, so that you can be a very good student. Yeah, so let's proceed to another feature, which is the limbs of the amphibians. The limbs are legs for this case, and we have those legs in the front called the fore legs or the front legs, and there are two. And then there are those in behind called the hind legs, and there are also two. So in total there are two pairs of limbs or legs, and those are the fore limbs and the hind limbs. So we want to proceed to look at the legs in detail. So when you look at the frog and the toad, you realize that the legs are more of the same, although there may be difference in size or the musculature. Yes, that is the difference that might be there. Like when you look at the frog, you can see that the legs are more highly folded and looking much longer than those of the toad. Yes. So let's describe the legs or the limbs of an organism of these amphibians. You realize that the limbs are unequal in size, reflecting their different functions. So these legs perform different functions, and that their sizes are also different depending on the function that they perform. But what is common in both of them is that they are all muscular, they are all jointed, and they have digits. So when you look at the forelimbs, you realize that they hold the body uh, and absorb shock during hopping. So their function is to hold the body upright and also to absorb shock when they are landing after jumping up. As they are landing, those forelimbs are for absorbing shock. And then the hind limbs generate strong propulsive force or thrust for movement. So when they are about to jump, you realize that the hind limbs are kicked backwards to generate that jumping force to propel the organism forward. So those are the different functions of the legs. The forelimbs are to hold the organism upright, at the same time to absorb shock during jumping, and then the hind limbs, their function is majorly to generate a strong propulsive force to propel the organism further. So looking at the generalized drawing of the forelimb, you can see those are the structures there. You can see, you will see the parts there. You can appreciate them, look through them, and look at the parts. And then I would want you to differentiate them uh, from the hind limbs. Are you able to differentiate the two? The forelimbs here, yes, and the hind limbs. Are you able to identify any difference between the two? Well, let's look at the differences now between the forelimb and the hind limb. So if you have been observant, you have seen that the forelimb has 4 digits, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the hind limb has 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the first difference between the two limbs. If you have seen as well, you realize that the forelimb, there are no webs between the digits, but for the hind limb, it has webs in between the digits, so it's a webbed. The feet are webbed. The feet of the hind limbs are webbed, whereas those of the forelimbs are not webbed. And then the forelimbs are divided into 2 regions, and the hind limb into 3 regions. The forelimb is less muscular and the hind limb is more muscular. There are more muscles, yes, usually used for generating a strong propulsive force during hopping movements. When you look at the shape of the forelimb, you realize it is L shape, more or less L shape. And then the hind limb, it is almost Z shaped or 2 shaped. The forelimb has 2 joints, and then the hind limb has 3 joints. The forelimb is short and stout, and the hind limb is elongated and highly folded. So those are some of the differences between the forelimb and the hind limb. I want to task you to get this organism and compare the 2 limbs, and then discover more differences between the 2 limbs, the hind limb and the forelimb. So let's proceed to other adaptations of the limbs to their function. So you realize that the forelimbs are short and stout to absorb shock during hopping or landing. And then the hind limbs are webbed. They have webbed feet. And why do they have webbed feet? What is the advantage? For providing a large surface area against which the forward thrust is generated during swimming. So when they are swimming, they use the hind limbs for generating that propulsion force in water. The hind limbs are long and muscular and highly folded into 3 regions. And this provides a forward thrust to the body during jumping and swimming. And also the joints are for flexibility. The hind limbs have a long-nailed toes, which dig deep into the ground to provide stability during jumping on land, and also for burrowing, especially for the toads. So those are some of the other adaptations of the limbs to their functions. So I want to task you to do that assignment. You are provided with specimen R, which is a toad or frog, which is freshly killed. I would like you to classify this specimen as far as possible, giving reasons for the class. So you can classify them from kingdom to species, and then you can give reasons why they belong to class Amphibia. Well, we saw that in lesson 1, and you should be able to do that. But you can also give reasons why they are in kingdom Animalia, and why they are in phylum Chordata and order Anura. I know you can do that. And then you can also observe the structural features on the head from the left-hand side, and then draw and label the features concerned with sensitivity and feeding. Yes, you can also try that out. And remember, your drawings must be 2-dimensional drawings and very neat. We shall have another lesson where we shall look at biological drawings in detail. But for now, I want to see what you can do from here. And then examine the head of the specimen, describe the shape of the head and its significance. Yes, we looked at this in lesson 1, but I want you to get the specimen and attempt that question. When you do that, you can inbox me your findings, and then I will respond to you. Thank you very much, and please do those questions. So let's proceed to sex identification. How do you identify whether this organism is male or female? Which methods do you use, yeah, to identify whether they are male or female? Given the fact that these organisms do not have any external genitalia like the way it is in mammals. They don't have genital organs or reproductive organs that are visible from the external surface. They don't have them. However, the males and females have structures that allow identification. So still, even if there are no external genitalia, you can still identify them using some other features. So let's look at the differences between males and females based on their body characteristics. So when you look at the males, you realize that their body is generally slender. They have slender bodies. And for the females, the adult females, their bodies are broad, especially the abdomen area. The abdominal area is broad, especially during the breeding season. So you can easily identify the male and female using their body size, where the males are slender always, and females have a broader abdomen. The broad abdomen is to accommodate a large volume or a large number of eggs that are usually produced during the breeding season. Then for the males, the skin underlying the throat area, is usually white or lighter. Meanwhile, for the females, that skin is creamy or gray or yellowish. Yes, that's another way you can differentiate them. So when you get male and female and you look under the throat, you'll be able to see that the females have a creamy or gray skin there, and then for the males it's a white or lighter. So that's another difference between males and females. The males have rough black water patch on the ventral surface of the first finger on the forelimb called the nuptial pad. So when you look at the forelimbs, the first finger is equipped with a patch or a pad called the nuptial pad, and is always protruding and prominent. You can easily see it. And that nuptial pad is usually used for holding the female tight during mating. Yes. Meanwhile, the females do not have it. So I want us to watch this video and then look at how the females and the males are different. This video is not opening, surprisingly. Technical issues. The video is failing to open, but well, at least you have seen the differences between the males and the females. So we can proceed from there in the next lesson. Thank you very much for being very good students, and please continue staying safe, and please stay at home. Thank you so much. God bless you.